Hi, Epi again. This is video Hey, the fifth video in a series. There will probably be a video Vav to deal with one other chapter, and that will be the end of this series before Pesach. This particular, now we're going to take a look at a small poem in chapter 3, the very beginning of chapter 3, which is related to some extent to a larger poem that we're going to look at in the next episode, which is Video Vav. That will be chapter 5, verse 2 through chapter 6, verse 3. The chapter division is not ours, it's Christian, and in the Masoretic tradition, there were places where our division of the units was quite different than that of the chapters, but that's clearly a unit in itself. Here too in chapter 3, although chapter 3 is longer, a small section of it is a poem in its own right, and we'll look at that. And the two of them are related, by the way, which is why I chose them. So let me read the entire poem to you, just so that you get a sense of what it sounds like, and then we'll go through it verse by verse. Al mishkavi baleilot bikashti et shava nafshi, bikashtiv velo metzativ. Akumana vasoveva vayir, bashvakim uvarchovot, avaksha et shava nafshi, bikashtiv velo metzativ. מצאוני השומרים הסובבים בעיר, עת שאהבה נפשי ראיתם? כמעט שעברתי מהם עד שמצאתי עת שאהבה נפשי. אחזתי ולא ארפנו, עד שהביא אותי ואל בית אמי ואל חדר הורתי. השבעתי אתכם בנות ירושלים, בצבאות באלות השדה, אם תאירו ואם תעוררו את האהבה, עד שתחפץ. So that's the poem, and let's take a look at what it's all about. She is sleeping or resting on her bed in the nighttime, and she is seeking the one that her soul loves, Eit Shava Nafshi. And she says, Bikashti velo metzativ. I sought him, but I didn't find him. That goes against our grain a little. We have the phrase, seek and ye shall find. It's not ours. It's from the New Testament, Matthew and a few other places. But we don't need to go to the New Testament. Psalms chapter 34, I sought the Lord and he answered me. You seek God, he comes to you. And of course, in the allegory, this is what this is. This is the house of Israel seeking God, seeking to be with God's presence. In Yirmiyahu, in Jeremiah, chapter 29, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. If you really have a proper search, you will find me. But she says, I sought him and I didn't find him so far. We know it from Ashrei, Psalm 145, Ashrei that we say 3 times a day in our prayers. Karov Hashem lechol korav, lechol asher yikra'u ve'emet. God is close to everybody who calls out for him, especially those who call out for him in truth, be'emet. So it seems a little strange, and it gets a little stranger. She's going to go out now. She's going to seek him by going outside of her home and into the street. Akumanava soveva vayir, or go out into the city to look for him. Bashvakim uvarchovot. Normally we would say shuk is the market, rechov is the street. In the Bible it's a little different. Shuk is actually the street, because the streets were markets. And rechov is not a street in the Bible, it's a square, like a piazza. And but it's a kind of you can see an urban setting. She's going out into the street to find him. Avaksha et shava nafshi. I'm going to seek the one that my soul loves. And the fact that it's her soul here brings it closer again to the allegory of the house of Israel and God. Bikashti velo metzativ. She repeats the same phrase. I sought him, but I didn't find him. Mitzauni hashomrim asovevim ba'ir. The guards that patrol the town, like cops, they find her, and she might be a little strange. This is going to happen in chapter 5 as well, with some consequence. But here, she might be, if she's out there looking for her lover, or if she's looking for God. Either way, it might be a little strange. But she says to them, "Et shavan haShiritem." She speaks to them. She says, "Did you see? Have you seen my beloved? Have you seen the one that my soul seeks? I just passed them. Kimacha avarti miem, just scarcely passed them. Ad shematzati et shava nafshi. I found him. I found my beloved. Achasti v'lo arpenu. I'll hold on to him and I won't let him go. Ad shevioti vel beiti mi vel cheder horati. Until I bring him back to my mother's house, to the cheder horati. Hora is a parent. Horim, parents. Hora is the female parent, the mother. I'm bringing him back to my mother's room. But hora also is related to the verb form hara, which is to conceive, to the room where I was conceived. I will be with him in the room where I was conceived. Now, their coming together here is not as explicit an act of lovemaking as it is in chapter 2, where I said it's really the only place where they're completely together. There, the imagery is such that we have a sense that they really did make love. Here, he's in the room, at least. What goes on after, we don't know. But then she turns to the chorus again, to Benot Yerushalayim. And she says to them, Hishbati etchem Benot Yerushalayim bitzvaot u'ba'ayalot hasadeh im ta'iru ve'im to'oru et ahava ad shetechpatz. This is that phrase that she used, exactly the same phrase in chapter 2, verse 7. I told you it happens again in chapter 8. But it's a chorus directed to these daughters of Jerusalem, Benot Yerushalayim. Rashi, he asks the question, why is the chorus called Benot Yerushalayim? Who are Benot Yerushalayim? And he says, Benot Yerushalayim in the allegory stand for the nations of the world. This is Israel declaring her love for God before the nations of the world, as it were, say in the United Nations, although we don't get to do that in the United Nations. And he says, but why Jerusalem? Why are they called the daughters of Jerusalem if they represent the nations of the world? Great line from Rashi, 11th century, France. Rashi says, Yerushalayim atida liot metropolin shel kol ha'olam kulo. Jerusalem is destined to be the capital of the entire world. So we have this scene where she is in her mother's room with her lover, and it closes the circle, really, because she sought him, she finds him, and she brings him back. It's an echo of a story that we know from the book of Genesis. In Breshit chapter 2, what we usually call the rib story, where woman is fashioned out of the side of man. The last line, verse 24, chapter 2 in Genesis, reads like this. Al kein ya'azov ish et aviv ve'et imo, v'davak b'ishto v'hayu levasar echad. That is why a person leaves his mother and father and cleaves to his wife, to his spouse, and they become one flesh. Those that were together once came apart, became two, then come together again to be one. So she's kind of closing the circle here as an echo of that story. And her message to the daughters of Jerusalem, to the chorus, is quite different than the same phrase, a different meaning that the same phrase had in chapter 2. In chapter 2, she was saying, you get together when it's the proper time, when it is spring. That's the story in chapter 2. But here she's saying, you have an opportunity, take it. Carpe diem, seize the day. Take it when you can get it. And she found him. She wouldn't let him go. Maybe he wanted to go. We don't know. And she took him to her mother's room. And we assume, although it's not in the text, became one with him. That's this wonderful little poem in chapter 3. As I said, the next time we'll finish up this series by looking at a longer poem, 5.2 to 6.3. In the meantime, keep getting ready for Pesach and stay healthy.